Okay, we are back and dealing with the next item on the agenda is the regulatory oversight report for uranium mines and mills in Canada 2016 as outlined in CMD 17 M47 and M47A. The public was invited to comment in writing on this item. The Commission received 7 written submissions, and now joining us via video conference in Saskatoon are representatives from licensees, Cameco Corporation and Arriva Resources Canada. Let's test the technology. There you are. Can you hear us?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, we can hear you now. So we have also some representatives from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change that are joining us via teleconference. Is Ministry of Environment?
Yes, we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also understand that we have representative from Denison Mines online.
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you. So now we also have Mr. Tim Moulding from Saskatchewan Ministry of Environment and Dr. James Irvin of Population Health Unit, and Mr. Keith Cunningham for Saskatchewan Ministry of the Economy, and CNSC staff from Saskatoon. Did I miss anybody? Okay, so let's pass the floor to Ms. Heidi Tadros.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Heidi Tadros. I am the Director General of the Directorate of Nuclear Cycle and Facilities Regulation. For this item, I am joined by my colleagues, Mr. Robert Lloyd, Director of the Uranium Mines and Mills Division, Ms. Corinne Glenn, Director of the Wastes and Decommissioning Division, Mr. John Glover, Project Officer in the Uranium Mines and Mills Division, and Dr. Karina Lang, Senior Project Officer of the Wastes and Decommissioning Division. We are also joined by licensing and compliance staff as well as subject matter experts here in Ottawa and in Saskatoon to help answer any questions the Commission may have. We are here to present Commission Member Document 17M47 titled Regulatory Oversight Report for Uranium Mines and Mills in Canada 2016. As noted earlier, the CNSC produces a number of these regulatory oversight reports, as shown on this slide. This is the 4th regulatory oversight report that CNSC staff have presented to the Commission in public for this year. The 2016 Regulatory Oversight Report for Uranium Mines and Mills in Canada presents CNSC staff's assessment on the performance of operating uranium mines and mills and provides updates on significant activities at active remediation and decommissioned uranium mine and mill sites. This is the 6th annual Regulatory Oversight Report on operating mines and mills presented to the Commission. The public has been invited to intervene on each of these reports. This report includes a summary of the CNSC's regulatory efforts at uranium mines and mills, including information on the Independent Environmental Monitoring Program, as well as the public information and community engagement that CNSC staff conduct. The report also includes an overview comparing performance across operating uranium mines and mills for all 14 safety and control areas, with a focus on radiation protection, environmental protection, and conventional health and safety. And finally, this report also includes an update on licensing activities, performance ratings, and significant events at historic and decommissioned sites. Our presentation today starts with an overview of CNSC's risk-informed regulatory oversight activities listed on this slide. And in line with the regulatory oversight report, the presentation is then segmented by the operating facilities, followed by historic and decommissioned sites. I will now pass the presentation to Mr. Robert Loic.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the Commission. My name is Robert Loic, and I'm the Director of the Uranium Mines and Mills Division. The CNSC regulates Canada's uranium mines, mills, historic and decommissioned sites to protect the health, safety and security of Canadians and the environment. The CNSC achieves its mandate by licensing facilities and providing regulatory oversight through verification, enforcement, and reporting activities, which include on-site inspections, desktop reviews, technical assessments, reviews of licensee programs, and ongoing exchange of information. The nature of the oversight is commensurate with the risk associated with the licensed site, with the activity or program, and the performance of the licensee. The base level of risk is reflected in CNSC staff's facility-specific compliance plans, which include the number and scope of inspections. These plans are regularly reviewed and, if need be, revised. CNSC staff evaluate licensees' performance using safety and control areas. The 14 safety and control areas are common to all CNSC licensees, but relative importance of each safety and control area is related to the type of operation being regulated. While in this report we focus on environmental protection, radiation protection, and conventional health and safety, CNSC staff assesses licensee performance on all 14 SCAs for the operating mines and mills, and where applicable, for the active remediation projects and decommissioned sites. Licensee performance is rated for each SCA as fully satisfactory, satisfactory, below expectations, or unacceptable, as applicable. Regulatory oversight activities involve set criteria such as key performance indicators, compliance with license conditions, events, repeat non-compliances, and repeat licensee action in response to events, as well as the nature of the events themselves. Staff met earlier this year to assign ratings to safety and control areas based on CNSC staff's professional judgment, expertise, and the information collected. CNSC staff consider all factors and multiple inputs and assign a rating that best represents licensee performance in a holistic manner. As discussed in this morning's presentation of the Regulatory Oversight Report for Uranium and Nuclear Substance Processing Facilities in Canada 2016, this graph shows a representation of relationships between a regulatory limit, action level, and normal operating conditions. To keep the public informed of regulatory activities occurring at mine and mill sites, CNSC staff regularly engage with the public, Indigenous groups, and their leadership through attendance at community meetings, site tours, and technical information sessions. In addition to these outreach activities, the CNSC also provided information through the CNSC website, social media, and CNSC online, and also communicates with Indigenous leadership and representatives on a regular basis through phone, email, and letters. In 2016, CNSC staff participated in community activities such as the CNSC 101 presentation in the Wollaston Post Hatchet Lake First Nation community, also attended Cameco's Northern Tour, and participated in community and Indigenous group meetings. In June 2017, the license renewal for McLean Lake operation was held in La Ronge, Saskatchewan. 9 participant funding opportunities were awarded. Licensees continue to have in place public information programs to engage communities and keep them informed of the overall performance and any major development at uranium mines and mills. These programs are regularly reviewed and verified by CNSC staff. To support existing and ongoing compliance activities, the CNSC implemented its independent environmental monitoring program to verify that the public and environment around CNSC regulated nuclear sites are safe. This verification is achieved by CNSC staff through independent sampling and analysis of the air, water, soil, vegetation, and various foods. A 5-year plan for the Independent Environmental Monitoring Program on operating uranium mines and mills was established in 2015. As part of this plan, a sampling campaign took place around the McLean Lake operation in the summer of 2016. The results from the Environmental Monitoring Program demonstrate that the licensee's environmental protection programs are effective and support the licensee's environmental monitoring results and conclusions. The public and environment in the vicinity of these sites are protected. Results are provided on the CNSC's Independent Environmental Monitoring Program webpage. Complementary to the Independent Environmental Monitoring Program, the Eastern Athabasca Regional Monitoring Program was initially established in 2011, building on previous cumulative effects monitoring programs. In partnership with the Government of Saskatchewan, industry, and Saskatchewan communities, the program monitors the safety of traditional harvested country foods from representative communities located in northern Saskatchewan. The intent of the program is to evaluate the quality of country foods, to assess any potential impacts resulting from industrial activities, and to provide confidence to community members that traditional country foods remain safe to eat today and for future generations. CNSC staff support the Eastern Athabasca Regional Monitoring Program and are working towards collaboration opportunities on this valuable program. The map on the right shows the region covered by the Eastern Athabasca Regional Monitoring Program. The program is designed to report on cumulative effects downstream of uranium mining and milling operations and gives a good representation and assurance that country foods are safe to eat, the water quality is safe to drink, and the environment is protected. I will now pass on the presentation over to Mr. John Glover.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the Commission. My name is John Glover, and I'm a project officer in the Uranium Mines and Mills Division. The presentation will now transition to focus on uranium mine and mill operations. There are currently 5 operating uranium mine and mill facilities in Canada, all located in the Athabasca Basin in northern Saskatchewan. Cameco operates the Cigar Lake Mine, the McArthur River Mine, the Rabbit Lake Mine and Mill, and Key Lake Mill, while Areva operates the McLean Lake Mill. To ensure compliance at the operating mine and mill facilities in 2016, CNSC staff conducted 30 inspections, 6 at each of the 5 operating facilities. The 30 inspections resulted in 43 non-compliances, all of which were inspection enforcement actions. No orders were issued at the operating facilities in 2016. Enforcement actions from the inspections ranged from low to medium in significance and covered a variety of safety and control areas, such as human performance management, management systems, and radiation protection, and were provided to the licensees in detailed inspection reports. All enforcement actions were recorded in the CNSC's Regulatory Information Bank to ensure they were tracked to completion. CNSC staff have reviewed, verified, and accepted the licensee's responses and corrective actions. All 2016 enforcement actions have been closed. To ensure consistency in reporting events, on February 25, 2016, the CNSC issued a formal request under subsection 12.2 of the General Nuclear Safety and Control Regulations, requiring all uranium mines and mills and select Class 1A and B nuclear facilities to undertake a review of their reporting processes. Responses from both Areva and Cameco have been received and accepted. Elevated numbers of person days in compliance and licensing associated with the McLean Lake operation are a result of a license renewal that took place in June 2017. The 2016 performance ratings for each of the 14 safety and control areas, determined by CNSC staff based on regulatory oversight activities, are shown on this slide. For 2016, the operating uranium mine and mill facilities received a satisfactory performance rating across all safety and control areas. The satisfactory rating indicates that implemented control measures are sufficiently effective and compliance with regulatory requirements is satisfactory. The following slides focus on the three safety and control areas of radiation protection, environmental protection, and conventional health and safety, and have been provided to further support satisfactory rating. The primary sources of radiation exposure at uranium mines and mills comes from gamma radiation, long-lived radioactive dust, radon progeny, and radon gas. As part of routine and focused compliance activities, CNSC staff verified and confirmed that licensees have effective radiation protection programs and practices to monitor and control radiological hazards. CNSC staff concluded radiation doses were kept as low as reasonably achievable and workers are being protected. This graph shows the maximum and average individual effective doses measured for nuclear energy workers at each of the 5 uranium mine and mill facilities during 2016. The annual maximum individual effective doses for nuclear energy workers at the 5 facilities were well below the annual regulatory limit of 50 millisieverts or a maximum of 100 millisieverts over 5 years. This slide shows the 5-year trend of the collective dose for nuclear energy workers at the operating uranium mine and mill facilities from 2012 to 2016. The collective dose is the total dose received by persons and is expressed using the unit person millisieverts, as it is a product of the number of persons that received an exposure and the average dose. The significant decrease at the Rabbit Lake operation in 2016 is due to its transition to a state of care and maintenance. An upward trend at the McLean Lake operation is indicative of the systematic increase towards design production levels beginning in 2014. The 5 operating facilities have the same action levels for the nuclear energy workers of 1 millisievert per week and 5 millisieverts per quarter of a given year. In 2016, radiation protection action level exceedances occurred at McArthur River, Key Lake, and McLean Lake operations. There were no radiation protection action level exceedances at the Rabbit Lake and Cigar Lake operations. CNSC staff assessed and were satisfied with the actions taken by the operations to address these action level exceedances. As part of routine and focused compliance activities, CNSC staff verified and confirmed that licensees have effective environmental protection programs to monitor and control the protection of the environment. In 2016, no environmental regulatory limits were exceeded at operating uranium mines and mills. 2 action level exceedances were reported at the McLean Lake operation. In 2016, CNSC staff's compliance activities verified that the environment was being protected. Licensees are required to report to the CNSC and other regulatory authorities any unauthorized release of hazardous substances or nuclear materials to the environment. Reportable spills in 2016 at each uranium mine and mill facility is displayed on this slide. For each of these spills, the licensee investigated cause and implemented corrective actions to remediate and prevent a recurrence. CNSC staff rated all spills in 2016 at mine and mill facilities as low significance, and all spills were mitigated, resulting in no impact to the environment. CNSC staff found that the licensee's reporting and responses to environmental spills during 2016 was acceptable. This slide displays treated effluent annual average concentrations in 2016 for the 5 operating mine and mill facilities. All metal mine and mills in Canada are subject to the metal mining effluent regulations of the Federal Fisheries Act. As shown, all average annual concentrations are below the metal mining effluent regulation discharge limits and site-specific action levels. This slide shows the 5-year trend of molybdenum concentrations in treated effluent at each operating uranium mine and mill facility from 2012 to 2016. In the absence of a provincial or federal limit, the action level for the Key Lake facility, the most stringent of the operating facilities, is shown for reference. Additional chemical treatment processes were installed at the Rabbit Lake operation to reduce molybdenum. As shown on this slide, molybdenum concentrations observed a marked reduction from 2012 levels and have remained relatively consistent from 2014 to 2016. This slide shows the 5-year trend of selenium concentrations in treated effluent at each operating uranium mine and mill facility from 2012 to 2016. In response to rising selenium trends, the McLean Lake operation has developed the Selenium Adaptive Management Plan. An update on this management plan will be discussed on slide 44 later in this presentation. The 2012 to 2016 selenium concentrations in effluent at uranium mines and mills are well below the provincial licensed effluent discharge limit. This slide shows the 5-year trend for the uranium concentrations in treated effluent at each operating uranium mine and mill facility from 2012 to 2016. Again, concentrations in treated effluent are low compared to the provincial licensed effluent limit and meet the requirements of as low as reasonably achievable. This slide shows the 5-year trend of the radium-226 concentrations in treated effluent at each operating uranium mine and mill facility from 2012 to 2016. All operating uranium mine and mill facilities continued to meet licensed discharge limits outlined in the metal mine effluent regulations. On this slide, effluent quality compliance data for uranium mines and mills is compared to base metal, precious metal, and iron mines. Compliance with the metal mining effluent regulation limits provides a good environmental performance indicator across the metal mining industry. Data presented on this slide comes from Environment Canada and from Environment and Climate Change Canada and is provided for the 2015 year, as this is the most current information available. This table illustrates the number of mines in each mining sector that are out of compliance with at least one metal mining effluent regulations parameter in 2015, and also provides the specific information on the individual parameters that are out of compliance. In 2016, the uranium sector was in full compliance with the provisions of the metal mining effluent regulations for all regulated parameters and compares well to other metal mining sectors. This slide shows the radionuclide concentrations measured in ambient air at the uranium mines and mills in 2016. High-volume air samplers are used to collect and measure total suspended particulate in air, and the particulate samples are also analyzed for metals and radionuclide concentrations. Concentrations of lead-210, radium-226, thorium-230, and uranium are below referenced annual air quality levels. CNSC staff confirmed all uranium mine and mill facilities demonstrated strong performance, mitigating atmospheric effects of their operations on the environment, and conducted regular air quality monitoring. CNSC staff concluded that results indicate no risk to the environment from atmospheric releases and that the environment was protected. This slide shows the 5-year trend of the radon concentrations in treated effluent at each operating uranium mine and mill facility from 2012 to 2016. As the Cigar Lake facility transitioned into operation through 2015, an increase was noted in the concentrations of radon in ambient air. As shown on this slide, radon concentrations remained well below the reference level. Lost time injury statistics are a key measure of licensee performance for conventional health and safety. A lost time injury is a workplace incident that results in the worker being unable to return to work for a period of time. CNSC staff also consider the injury's frequency and severity rate. CNSC staff in Saskatchewan's Ministry of Labour Relations and Workplace Safety monitor and review each reportable injury to ensure that cause is identified and satisfactory corrective actions are taken. CNSC staff confirmed that the operating mine and mill facilities implemented effective management of conventional health and safety in their activities. The following slides will focus on 2016 activities at the 5 operating uranium mines and mills. The picture on the right of this slide shows an aerial view of the Cigar Lake mine. Cameco's Cigar Lake operation is the world's second largest known high-grade uranium deposit. Uranium ore mined at the Cigar Lake operation is ground into ore slurry, loaded into containers, and shipped by truck to the McLean Lake mill. Cameco's Cigar Lake license is valid from July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2021. In 2016, surface construction activities resulted in upgrades, increasing the freezing capacity at the Cigar Lake operation. In addition, underground expansion continued with ongoing commissioning of mine workings. The Cigar Lake operation identified in their 2016 annual report an increasing arsenic trend as a result of mining activities. In response, Cameco set up a working group to identify cause of the elevated levels and develop mitigation strategies. CNSC staff reviewed implemented mitigation techniques such as altering pH to allow for more favorable conditions for arsenic removal. CNSC staff will continue to review monitoring results and controls to ensure they are effective and meet regulatory requirements. The picture on the right shows the surface facilities at the McArthur River mine. Cameco's McArthur River operation is the world's largest high-grade uranium mine. High-grade uranium ore is mined, mixed with water, ground in a ball mill to form slurry, and pumped to the surface. The ore slurry is loaded into specifically designed containers and transported to the Key Lake mill. Cameco's McArthur River license is valid from November 1st, 2013 to October 31st, 2023. During 2016, the McArthur River operation focused on underground development for ongoing ore production, and ground freezing continued to ensure effective control of groundwater. Ventilation improvements in 2015 at the McArthur River operation resulted in significant improvements in the reduction of radon progeny. On November 8, 2017, Cameco announced a period of suspended production for the Key Lake and McArthur River operations in northern Saskatchewan, scheduled to take effect in January 2018. Cameco has confirmed to the CNSC that the period of suspended production at these operations, Cameco will maintain the necessary resources and essential services to ensure all CNSC regulatory requirements will continue to be met. CNSC staff have requested that Cameco provide additional information detailing the activities necessary to ensure continued health, safety, and protection of the environment during the period of suspended production. CNSC staff will continue to conduct compliance activities to verify continued safe operations and protection of the environment. CNSC staff use a risk-informed approach when verifying the safety of the suspension of production activities. The picture on the right shows an aerial view of the Rabbit Lake facility. Cameco's Rabbit Lake facility has been in operation since 1974 and has both a mine and a mill. Cameco's Rabbit Lake license is valid from November 1st, 2013 to October 31st, 2023. On April 21st, 2016, Cameco Corporation formally announced that due to market conditions, production at the Rabbit Lake operation was to be suspended and the facility was placed into a safe state of care and maintenance. The transition to care and maintenance involved the suspension of production and the safe shutdown of the mine and mill operations. CNSC staff reviewed transition plans and schedules, as well as carried out compliance inspections to ensure transition to care and maintenance was conducted safely and met regulatory requirements. The Rabbit Lake in-pit tailings management facility continues to provide storage of solids produced by the mill water treatment system, and progressive reclamation activities will continue throughout the care and maintenance period. In the care and maintenance configuration, the Rabbit Lake operation is maintaining compliance of the facility to applicable regulations, approvals, and licensed programs. The picture on the right shows the Key Lake operation. Cameco's Key Lake Mill is the world's largest producer of yellowcake. Cameco's Key Lake license is valid from November 1st, 2013 to October 31st, 2023. During the 2016 performance period, Cameco's Key Lake operation continued to mill McArthur River high-grade ore. Old tanks and pipes were dismantled and transferred to the west cell of the above-ground tailings management facility for disposal. And in order to mitigate risks associated with basement rock remaining on the Gartner waste rock pile, approximately 35,000 meters cubed of basement rock was removed and transferred to the south bench of the Dealming Tailings Management Facility. At the end of 2016, the remaining volume of rock to be transferred was approximately 5,000 meters cubed. In addition, over 18,000 tree seedlings were planted with a mixture of white birch and green alder as part of the general site revegetation program. The picture on the right shows the McLean Lake Mill. The McLean Lake Mill has been designed to process high-grade Cigar Lake ore. Following a hearing on June 7th and 8th, 2017 in La Ronge, a new license was issued, which is valid from July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2027. In 2016, Areva's annual production limit increased to 9.2 million kilograms of uranium, while production at the site increased to 6.67 million kilograms of uranium, which is approximately a 35% increase from 2015. In August 2016, CNSC staff carried out monitoring around the McLean Lake operation as part of the Independent Environmental Monitoring Program. Samples were taken upstream at reference stations with no operational impacts and downstream at exposure locations. The IEMP results are consistent with Areva's results and indicate that the public and the environment are not impacted by the McLean Lake operation. In 2016, JEB Tailings Management Facility Optimization Stage 2 work was in progress and now in 2017 is complete. The JEB Tailings Management Facility is split up into 3 projects and includes contaminated landfill relocation, tailings pipe bench relocation, and JEB Tailings Management Facility infrastructure decommissioning. During the McLean Lake 2017 license renewal, CNSC staff committed to providing an update on the Selenium Adaptive Management Plan to the Commission during the 2017 meeting of the Uranium Mines and Mills Regulatory Oversight Report. After restart and commissioning in September 2014, Areva identified an increasing trend in selenium effluent concentrations from the JEB water treatment plant. This increase in concentration was still well below the provincial limit and was attributed to the milling of Cigar Lake ore. Areva has been proactive in addressing the selenium increase and has developed process improvements to control selenium. CNSC staff reviewed Areva's proposed administrative and action levels, which have now been implemented to ensure selenium removal continues to perform within design specifications. To further process improvements, Areva is continuing to evaluate different technical options for the treatment of selenium. A final submission will be provided for the CNSC review in 2018. I will now pass this presentation to Dr. Karina Lang.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Karina Lang, and I'm a Senior Project Officer with the Waste and Decommissioning Division. This section provides information on CNSC's oversight of uranium mine and mill sites that are undergoing remediation and sites that have been decommissioned and are under long-term care and maintenance. In December of 2016, CNSC staff presented information to the Commission on all historic and decommissioned uranium mines and mills in Canada that included background information for each site and performance ratings for the year 2015. This year, this CMD only reports on historic and decommissioned mine sites that had changes in performance ratings, notable events, or licensing activities in 2016. So this map shows the locations of all licensed historic and decommissioned uranium mine and mill sites in Canada. CNSC staff plan to report on the performance of all of these sites every 2 years, and the next report will take place in 2018. This year's report focuses on 2 sites that are currently undergoing remediation, the Gunner Legacy Mine Site and the Deloro Mine Site, and on 4 decommissioned sites, the Beaver Lodge and Clough Lake Mine and Mill sites, the Port Radium Mine Site, and the Elliott Lake Mine sites, which are managed by Rio Algam Limited and Denison Mines Incorporated. The following section provides performance highlights for the active remediation projects. So the objective of active remediation projects is to establish long-term stable conditions, ensuring the safe use of the site by both current and future generations. Active remediation projects consist of ongoing cleanup activities using full-time staff and contractors, and of frequent monitoring and reporting on licensing requirements. The Legacy Gunner Uranium Mine Site is being remediated by the Saskatchewan Research Council. The license was granted in 2014 and is valid until 2024. Following a public hearing on September the 22nd, 2016, the Commission removed the Phase 2 regulatory hold point for the project. This allows the SRC to proceed with remediation of the entire Gunner site. CNSC staff conducted 1 site inspection during 2015 and confirmed the site remains in a stable state and that SRC was preparing the site for remediation activities by setting up a work camp and associated safety measures. SRC plans to transfer the Gunner site to the Province of Saskatchewan's Institutional Control Program by the year 2025 if the Commission approves. The Ontario Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, MOECC, is responsible for the remediation of the Deloro mine site. The remediation of the Deloro mine site has been organized into 3 separate cleanup projects. The tailings area, where remediation was completed in 2012, the industrial and mine area, where remediation was completed in 2016, and the Youngs Creek area, which is still undergoing remediation. In September of 2016, MOECC submitted information to CNSC in support of demonstrating that radiation levels at the Deloro site were below conditional clearance levels. As the license was approaching its renewal date, the MOECC applied for a license renewal for a period of 10 months to provide CNSC staff with the time to review the information submitted to support conditional clearance. The short-term license was granted on December 30th, 2016. CNSC staff reviewed and assessed all of the information provided by MOECC and determined that only certain portions of the licensed site, specifically the tailings area and the industrial and mine area, were below conditional clearance levels. On October the 31st, 2017, a designated officer issued a license renewal with a modified footprint that now only encompasses the Youngs Creek area to MOECC. In 2015, CNSC staff rated the licensee's performance for the Management Systems SCA as below expectations for the Deloro site due to poor implementation of procedures. An order on this matter was issued to MOECC in 2015. In 2016, MOECC made a number of improvements, and CNSC staff, based on inspections and other compliance verification activities, now rate the licensee's performance for this SCA as satisfactory for the 2016 calendar year. This next part of the presentation focuses on decommissioned uranium mine and mill sites in Canada. Activities at decommissioned sites consist of routine monitoring and maintenance activities, and in most cases, there are no permanent staff on site. All decommissioned sites, with the exception of Clough Lake and Beaver Lodge, are expected to remain under a CNSC license for the foreseeable future. The province of Saskatchewan has developed the Institutional Control Program for the long-term management of decommissioned mine and mill sites on provincial Crown lands. The transfer of decommissioned properties would only take place after the following conditions have been met. Decommissioning has been completed, post-decommissioning monitoring demonstrated the site is safe and stable, the site is closed, sufficient funds are in place to provide for long-term monitoring and maintenance, additional funds are provided for unforeseen events, and the Commission has decided to transition regulatory oversight to the province of Saskatchewan. Beaver Lodge, Clough Lake, and Gunner are examples of properties which are currently planned to be placed into the Saskatchewan Institutional Control Program. Cameco has a 10-year license for the Beaver Lodge site that expires in 2023. 5 Beaver Lodge properties were released from CNSC licensing and entered into the Saskatchewan Institutional Control Registry in 2009. Activities in 2016 included the completion of a cover over the Ace Stope area crown pillar, focused remediation efforts such as rubbish removal and licensee submission of documentation and review by CNSC staff. CNSC staff carried out 1 inspection at the site in 2016 and found no items of non-compliance. Cameco's goal is to transfer all of the properties to institutional control by 2023, which is also the end of their current license. Areva is the licensee for the decommissioned Clough Lake uranium mine and mill site. Areva has a 10-year CNSC license for the Clough Lake site, which is valid until July 2019. In 2016, Areva carried out campaign monitoring and continued maintenance of the site. CNSC staff carried out 1 inspection at the site in 2016 and found the site to be well maintained and stable. Areva plans to apply for transfer of the Clough Lake site to institutional control in 2019. The licensee for the Port Radium closed uranium mine site is Indigenous and Northern Affairs Canada, INAC. A CNSC designated officer renewed the license for a period of 10 years on December 31st, 2016, in order to authorize INAC to continue the long-term maintenance and monitoring of the Port Radium site. CNSC staff carried out 1 inspection during 2016 at the site and were satisfied that INAC was implementing their programs consistent with CNSC requirements. For the foreseeable future, the site will remain under long-term monitoring and maintenance. On May 24, 2016, Denison Mines Limited informed CNSC staff that a small bushfire had occurred near its licensed area. CNSC staff updated the Commission on the event at the public meeting held on June 23, 2016. The fire had no radiological impact, nor did it cause any impact to the health and safety of workers or the public. However, there was damage to the trees near the Denison Mine Tailings Dam. A summary report was submitted on July 31, 2016 to CNSC staff that confirmed the response to the incident was well coordinated and that lessons learned have been implemented. CNSC staff provided an update to the Commission during the December 14, 2016 public meeting through the 2015 Regulatory Oversight Report and determined the event is closed. This section presents a status report on the environmental performance of Rio Algom Limited, so Rio Algom, Elliott Lake Historic Mine Sites, the Elliott Lake sites, from January 2010 to December 2016. Upon issuance of Rio Algum's license in 2005, the Commission requested that CNSC staff provide periodic updates on the performance of the Elliott Lake sites covered by this license. There are 11 decommissioned uranium mine sites and associated tailings management areas in Elliott Lake. Rio Algum is the owner and licensee of 8 of the decommissioned sites, which include Stanley, Quirk, Panel, Spanish American, Milliken, Lacknor, Buckles, and Pronto. These 8 sites are consolidated under one CNSC license. Denison Mines, Incorporated, is the owner and licensee of the other 3 sites, which include Denison 1, Denison 2, and Stanrock, which are grouped into 2 licenses. At Elliott Lake, there are no mining or milling structures remaining on any site, and all mine openings have been sealed. The TMA's, tailings management areas, are in the long-term care and maintenance phase that includes water treatment, environmental monitoring, and maintenance of retaining structures, such as dams, berms, and spillways. The risks associated with the license activities at Elliott Lake sites are low and are related primarily to the integrity of the engineering features associated with the containment of nuclear substances, the operations and monitoring of the facility water treatment plants, and the competence of other static structures to minimize contaminants released to the environment. The long-term plan for the site is to reach a steady state where water treatment may no longer be required and reliance on engineered structures can be reduced. Rio Algum, in conjunction with Denison Mines, implements a comprehensive set of monitoring programs to assess any environmental impacts and facilitate improvements to the sites. The monitoring programs focus on 3 components: the water quality in the tailings management areas, concentrations of constituents of concern in treated effluent, and aquatic environmental conditions in the watershed downstream of the mine sites. The Status of Environment Report, called the SOE report, integrates data from all of these programs and provides an assessment of TMA performance and the conditions in the downstream Serpent River watershed. The results of these programs for 2010 to 2015 inclusively were analyzed and summarized in the SOE report and submitted to CNSC staff in January of 2016. CNSC staff reviewed the results of Rio Algum's environmental monitoring programs and the SOC report and noted the following for the period of 2010 to 2016. That Rio Algum has effectively implemented environmental protection programs that include measures to control the releases of nuclear substances and other hazardous substances from the facility, that concentrations of all constituents of concern in effluent waters from all TMAs were below CNSC license limits. In general, water quality in the Serpent River watershed has improved over time and the reporting period, and all annual mean concentrations of constituents of concern measured in the Serpent River watershed were well below the CCME guidelines. CNSC staff reviewed and accepted the State of Environment report in 2017. Rio Algum's geotechnical inspection program is undertaken in conformance with the guidelines of the Canadian Dam Association. Key program components include routine inspections by Rio Algum staff of all containment structures and annual inspections and performance reviews by a qualified third-party professional engineer. In addition, a dam safety review is conducted by an independent qualified engineer every 7 years in accordance with the dam safety guidelines. CNSC staff reviewed the licensee's annual inspection reports and the dam safety review reports to assess the performance of the containment structures. In addition, CNSC staff conducted 3 geotechnical compliance inspections in 2012, 2014, and 2016 to observe site conditions and confirm the integrity of all containment structures. CNSC staff conclude that the integrity of all containment structures at Elliott Lake is maintained and all dams are safe under current conditions. A An independent environmental monitoring program sampling plan was undertaken for the Elliott Lake sites in 2015 that focused on both nuclear and hazardous contaminants. A sampling plan was developed based on Rio Algam and Denison's approved environmental monitoring programs, CSA group standards, and the CNSC's regulatory experience with the site. In 2015, samples were collected in publicly accessible areas outside licensed areas of the Elliott Lake sites for Rio Algam and Denison and included surface water, sediment, and sand. The results were made available on CNSC's website in 2016. CNSC staff confirmed the measured radioactivity levels in water samples were below federal and provincial water quality guidelines. With respect to non-radiological analysis, the concentrations of analyzed substances in water were below CCME guidelines and natural background levels. While the concentrations of analyzed substances in 3 sediment samples had elevated heavy metal concentrations of lead, zinc, nickel, arsenic, and copper that exceeded the CCME's interim sediment quality guidelines, these remained below the CCME's probable effects levels and the provincial sediment quality guidelines severe effects levels. Based on CNSC staff's review of the SOE, supporting monitoring programs and compliance inspection results for the period of 2010 to 2016, CNSC staff conclude that the environmental performance for Rio Algam's Elliott Lake sites continues to be satisfactory. Rio Algam's environmental protection program consists of contaminant source control, water treatment, and monitoring. This program is being effectively implemented and meets CNSC requirements for environmental protection. The integrity of all containment structures at Elliott Lake is maintained and all dams are safe under current conditions. CNSC staff confirm that environmental conditions are improving at the Elliott Lake sites. I will now pass this presentation back to Mr. Robert Loic.
Bob Loic for the record. The next part of the presentation focuses on the interventions that we received. The CNSC awarded up to $55,045 to the CNSC's participant funding program for reviewing the 2016 ROR on uranium mines and mills. The funds were awarded to organizations, indigenous groups, and individuals which are noted on the above slide. In addition to the written submissions received from the 5 participant funding recipients, CNSC staff received interventions from Northwatch and Val Drummond and Rodney Gardner. CNSC staff have reviewed interventions and identified 6 key themes which are presented on this slide. The following slides will discuss each of these key themes, and further details specific to each intervention is provided in the annex to the presentation. The first theme is on engagement with indigenous groups and communities, an important consideration. The CNSC is committed to ongoing engagement and relationship building with interested indigenous groups and communities. This includes funding opportunities for interventions through the participant funding program, engagement opportunities through workshops and meetings with various indigenous groups and communities, commission meetings such as this year's regulatory oversight reports, posting to the website, social media, and radio. As part of our continued commitment, recent initiatives include the development of a structured, formalized approach to ensure regular consultation with all interested indigenous communities and organizations. Updates on this initiative will be provided in the 2017 regulatory oversight report. In addition to the CNSC's engagement efforts, CNSC staff review and attend and participate in licensee, public, and indigenous outreach programs. The second theme relates to the issue of releases from operational decommissioned sites and potential impacts on the environment. CNSC ensures protection of the environment through regulatory limits, action at administration levels to ensure programs continue to operate within design specifications, environmental risk assessments, licensee monitoring programs, independent monitoring programs such as the CNSC's Independent Environmental Monitoring Program, and by reviewing the results of the Eastern Athabasca Regional Monitoring Program. This defense-in-depth approach ensures the safety of the environment at all operating, historic, and decommissioned uranium mines and mills. The third theme is on reporting priorities and information. Specifically, some interventions sought to clarify why all historic and decommissioned sites were not being reported on. CNSC staff are only reporting on those sites that had changes in licensing events or other developments for the year 2016. There's not much change from year to year at most historic and decommissioned sites. Therefore, CNSC staff plan to report on decommissioned sites and decommissioned and historic sites in the ROR every 2 years. The last ROR took place in 2016 and provided background information on all sites and performance in the applicable SCAs for 2015. The next performance update will take place in 2017 regulatory oversight report. The fourth theme is on radiation protection for workers and the public, an important consideration. Similar to environmental protection, the CNSC requires a defense-to-depth approach to ensure the protection of workers and the public. This approach includes regulatory limits, action at administrative levels, in addition to licensee monitoring programs. The fifth theme is on the safety of dams and tailings management methods. CNSC staff verify the safety of containment structures through periodic baseline geotechnical inspections, dam safety assessments, and annual desktop reviews, very much as Dr. Lang just presented to us. CNSC staff's review of all existing tailing dams and lessons learned from the Mount Poly event were presented in the 2015 ROR, CMD 16-M49. That review demonstrated that all CNSC regulated dams have adequate design and are not at risk for an event similar to Mount Poly. Finally, all containment structures, effluent treatment, and overall tailings management practices meet CNSC requirements, and compliance is confirmed through ongoing CNSC oversight. The sixth theme identified pertains to the adequacy of financial guarantees. Licensees are required to develop decommissioning plans and associated financial guarantees to ensure work activities and installations are financially covered and no liability is passed on to the government. Financial guarantee values for operating mine and mills facilities range from approximately $48 million at the MacArthur River operation to $218 million at the Key Lake operation and are reviewed in detail on a 5-year basis by both CNSC staff and the province of Saskatchewan, which are present to discuss this issue. Any modifications must be approved by the Commission. Haiti Tadros will now present the conclusions.
Thank you. So for the record, and to conclude, for 2016, CNSC staff confirm that all facilities had satisfactory performance, radiation protection measures that were effective in keeping doses as low as reasonably achievable, environmental protection programs that were effective at protecting the environment, and we conclude that effective conventional health and safety programs are in place to protect workers. CNSC staff conclude that each regulated facility operated safely and met performance expectations with respect to the health and safety of persons and for the protection of the environment and to Canada's international obligations. CNSC staff also conclude historic and decommissioned sites are safe and well maintained. Rio Algom's environmental protection plan is being effectively implemented and meets CNSC's requirements. The next State of Environment report for Elliott Lake is due in 2021, and that CNSC staff will report on all historic and decommissioned sites in the 2017 Regulatory Oversight Report. We'd like to thank you for your attention at this time, and we are available to take any questions you may have.
Thank you.